Okay. Hey, everybody. Hope you're doing well. I'm very excited to have Dino Iuliano with me, the Chief Revenue Officer of Planned Companies today. Close friend. We've known each other for years, and we're going to have a positive conversation today surrounding the word confidence as the world is slowly starting to begin to open back up. Dino, thank you for being here.
Absolutely, Paul. I'm a huge fan of yours and a friend, and I'm excited to be here with you today. Watch what you do on social media and what you do in general, and I'm proud to be here with you today. And I'm excited for our conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you. I appreciate the kind words. Let's get right into it. We had a conversation last week, and the nature of the world has shifted a little bit since our last conversation. But the topic of confidence versus fear is something that you and I have been going back and forth on for the last couple of weeks. Let's elaborate on that.
Absolutely. When we spoke, and I still feel it, I think confidence is what's going to get the economy back. Confidence is what's going to get people back to work. If people don't believe in what they see and what's happening, then they're not going to want to engage. And I feel over the last couple of weeks, I'm headquartered here in New Jersey, and when this first started, Paul, they were talking about summer's over. There will be no Jersey Shore this year. Plan on maybe September if you're lucky to be able to do normal stuff again, and you pretty much count 2020 out. And I was like, wow, what is that? And it was awful to hear. But now here we are in Jersey going into phase 2 already in June, which is exciting. And I'm seeing it happen all around the country. And for us, for what we do, for what you do, it's good to see people getting back to work and trying to get back to business as usual. Now, of course, it's going to be scaled down version, right? No one's going to go back day one and it's going to be like it was in March 1st, but at least people are taking that first step. And that first step is what's giving everyone confidence and making our phone ring again and saying, hey, we need staff back. We need to gear up again. What do we need to do? What does the future look like? How can Planned help with cleaning our property, getting us ready? Do you have a plan, which we do, to show what steps we need to take to get back? And I'm sure that's how your world is right now.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're doing. What does phase 2 entail? Are restaurants opening up? Can we go get a haircut? Because Northern Virginia is a little bit behind where you are with the timeline. Their phase 2 is happening in Virginia, the state of Virginia, but excluding Northern Virginia and Richmond. So we're a little bit behind. But what does that mean for you as far as phase 2 of the opening? Can you go get a haircut?
Yeah, so I've been doing selfies and I've been hanging in there, but I certainly want a professional haircut. So yeah. June 5th, so even our phased in approach has phases to it. So here in Jersey, phase 2, which is June 15th, outside dining, which I can't believe how much I miss just dining, right? So in our world, in your world, we take clients out, we go to restaurants, we have lunches with clients, we talk about business, we take colleagues and associates. That was a big part of our world pre-pandemic. So although we're not going to be able to go inside, we're going to be able to do outside dining here in Jersey on June 15th. The haircut has to wait till June 22nd. So because this thing grows like a weed, I'm thinking I might have to do one more selfie.
Yeah, until you can go back out in the world
until I can go back
and get
out
a professional cut.
Yeah, and then I'm thinking probably, and what I hope for those businesses is they'll be so busy that there'll probably be a waiting list for us to even get a haircut now.
Totally.
So that's the kind of confidence you and I were talking about, right? That's the kind of excitement around what's coming. So I'm already thinking about who's that client I'm going to take out to an outdoor lunch. And I think that will get people back into getting the economy booming again and doing the things that we all want to do.
Totally. Let's talk about new norms. Like what are some of the things that you foresee happening? Let me give you an example. Prior to 9/11, I remember being able to go to airports and go up to the gate and either pick somebody up or drop somebody off prior to or from a return flight. You obviously, I mean, you don't even think about that
Yeah.
anymore. With all the security, you can't go up to the gates anymore. So what are some of the norms that you think, I mean, is it going to be wearing a mask? Is it going to be hand sanitizing stations everywhere? What do you think society is going to look like a year from now, following COVID, that could be the new norm for a long period of time or forever?
You're right. I mean, I first of all, I love the question, and I love that you use the airports, because I use that in my security trainings. Teaching people how to do things differently. When after 9/11, no one thought, how are you going to make me take my shoes off to get through this line, go through security? TSA is born. All these things that we thought we could never get people to do. And now when you go to the airport, it's second nature. You're taking your shoes off. Before you even get near there, it works. We get through it. We're not missing our flights. All the things that everyone thought was going to be the end of the world for us to try to figure out is not. So I do think that we are learning things during the pandemic that will stick. First off, what you and I are doing right now, I think there will be more virtual meetings if it's not necessary to be live. We had a lot of live touches. We were doing, and you probably saw it on social media, 2, 3, 4 trade shows a month, where we had to get on a plane, fly out to an area, stay at a hotel, and be in a room with thousands of people. All of that is COVID nightmare right now, right? So I think some of that will scale back, and perhaps there'll be more virtual trade shows, which we're launching one next week, which we're excited about. So there'll be more of that coming out, where people, if it's not necessary, I think the distancing is here to stay. I don't think we'll soon be shaking hands like we used to do and pulling somebody in and kind of doing that bro hug.
Yeah, you and me, every time we see each other, I mean, it's
right.
It's just what we do. We hug it out, and
That's right.
It might not be the norm anymore, unfortunately. What about handshakes? Is that going away a year from now? Are we doing something like this? Are we doing something like this? Like, what are we doing a year from now, you think?
I think it's gone too, unfortunately. And I was a big handshake guy. I thought a handshake said a lot about somebody. I mean, I took classes where we learned how to shake hands.
Yeah.
The eye contact.
Eye contact, yep.
Body language and all those things that matter now. We're going to find another way. And yeah, maybe it won't be the bro hug, but it'll be something as cool to do with each other. But I think those kinds of things are here to stay. I don't know. I get asked about the mask a lot. I don't know that that's going to be around forever. Because even in some areas here, what the rule is, if you can't socially distance, you should have a mask on, right? So I think socially distancing will take over, and the mask will be in those situations where you can't. So perhaps if you go to a movie theater, along with your ticket, they'll be handing you a secure mask to put on while you're in there. And then at the end, you'll dump it. Kind of like the 3D glasses, right? You wore them and then you threw them in the basket at the end.
Yeah.
Perhaps that's an idea. Restaurants and bars, I think there'll be more space between people. But again, that hurts the economy, right? So the less people that'll be in these restaurants, the less money that restaurant's going to be able to make.
Yeah,
so,
and not everybody has outdoor seating or the opportunity for that, or a parking lot that they can turn into outdoor seating for the time being. And that becomes a challenge, especially in the cities where, things are very dense and tight.
That's right. And what about when it's going to be 0 degrees here, November, December, January, and February?
Yeah.
No one's going to want to sit outside,
Yeah.
And so those are all great things to think about, but we know for sure things are definitely going to change, as you rightfully pointed out, where it's not going to look the same as it has been. And I think distance is, to answer your question, I think distance is going to be a big part of what's changed.
Yeah, I mean, one big thing that's changed in my life, and I've done this before, prior to or pre-COVID, but we're doing it every time now, is grocery deliveries. I mean, we're used to, ordering a pizza and the pizza coming to the front door. but now we're ordering, our normal like 2 week stash of groceries, and it's coming right to the front door. So, will we continue that, or will we still be doing that every single time 6 months from now? I'm not sure. I'll tell
Yeah.
you, with a couple little kids at home, it's pretty convenient.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I don't
Yeah.
get to pick. I don't get to pick my, my bananas or my apples. They pick them for me. But outside
Uh-huh.
of that, it's pretty convenient.
It really is. And to that point, a lot of what we do plan is we do a lot of high rise residential buildings, right? That's a big part of our portfolio. And within them are folks who are doing exactly what you're saying. They're ordering their groceries, but packages in general have gone up dramatically. So we always saw it like around the holidays, Amazon, our buildings were getting crazed with packages and sorting through them. But one thing I think will change, talk about going forward, is how we handle those packages. Now in a typical high rise, our teams collect them, we log them in, we alert the resident that they have a package. The resident has to now come out of their unit, get in an elevator, hit a button, come out of there. There could be 20 people in that elevator, all coming down for a package. Then they get up in our front desk grill in their face. They want their package. They have to sign for it. So here we hand them a pen that just left our hand. Now is in their hand. They sign for that package. We hand them the package with, that's the old way. I think a lot of properties are going to change how they're doing packages. And one of the things that are even happening now, we're delivering them up to the unit. So checking them in. One of the early CDC comments was that, how long does the virus live on different surfaces? So if it's cardboard, so all of our packages come typically in a cardboard box. One of the things the CDC put out early on was that a virus can live on a cardboard box anywhere from 24 hours to 3 days, 72
Wow.
hours. So what some of our buildings have asked us to do is keep the packages stored for 3 days in one
Oh,
room.
wow. And that's not always functional for the people that need the contents.
That's right.
Within
So
the package.
unless it's medication or perishable, we would deliver immediately. But if it's something that's not, and the building had to agree to this, it would go in this room for 3 days. And then those packages would get delivered. And then that room would get sterilized or disinfected.
I was just about to say, what happens to that room? It becomes such an potentially infected area of the
Yeah.
building. So what, like every few days they got
Every 3 days we'd rotate.
rotate.
Now, because most amenities are closed in buildings right now. So the gyms now became a package room. The libraries became a package room. The social rooms became package rooms. So we had a lot more availability in rooms to use for packages, and some of them are on this rotation. So I think that there are pieces of that will stick. I don't think it's going to stay that way, but package delivery at a property, I think, is going to change forever. That's going to be like your airport scenario.
Got it. I love the breakdown. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Let's shift gears a little bit. One question that I really like to talk about, one item that I really like to talk about, is positive outcomes following COVID. I know you're very active with social media. You're very active with your company, Planned Companies, and on a personal front, you're a very glass half full kind of guy, Dino. That's just who you are. So
Thank
let's
you.
talk about positive outcomes, both personally and professionally, since the mandatory stay-at-home orders have become a part of our lives.
I love that. For me personally, I think I'm seeing more caring people in the world, from me going out to folks and folks checking in on me, people I haven't talked to in a long time. People who are, hey man, it's been a while. Just want to chat, see how you're doing, how you holding up. I see more people asking others, how are you doing? Which is great. So there's a lot less selfishness going on, in my opinion, in the world. People are truly caring about other people. I do think we're going to learn a lot from this. And to the half full Dino, I think the economy is going to bounce back quicker and perhaps in some cases better than it ever was before because of confidence that we started this call with. I think people are going to be more confident. We didn't know before, perhaps we're even going to have less colds now. We're going to have, less fevers by doing what we're doing. Right. So there'll be less call outs at work after this. We've learned so much. I mean, I've never done this much with the home computer before. So I'm feeling more tech savvy coming out of this, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And I feel just closer to people coming out of this than before. Certainly more
Which
time
is
with
so
family.
interesting. It's so interesting because the world has asked us to stay away from people.
Yeah.
And you're feeling more connected more than ever during this situation. That's enlightening.
It's true. I mean, that's how people change, right? Socially, when we're not able to do something, it's what we miss the most. I go back to boot camp, when I went in the Marine Corps, they take you away from everything for 3 months. They put you on this island, Paris Island. You don't get to, your food's gone. They shave your head. You have to wear green all the time. All those things that we weren't able to do in boot camp made us miss that. So when I got out of boot camp after 3 months, I'm like, I want pizza now, and you just learn to appreciate. And I think that's what I left out of my earlier. I have such a deep appreciation going for a walk. I smell grass all those things now that is just incredible that I just probably took for granted, to be honest with you, before, is such a great thing. We're excited about opening up a restaurant, outdoor seating. It was there before, I probably thought it was good and probably did it more than I should have. But now it's like, oh my God, a restaurant, outdoor seating, seeing a friend, it reminds me of coming out of boot camp. And it reminds me of what it felt like to go back and appreciate these things that we, as a society, I think just took for granted.
Yeah, I totally agree. All these beautiful things in life that for no fault of our own, we've taken for granted over the years. And now that we're little by little getting some of these amazing things back, they're just that much more important.
Absolutely. And we'll appreciate them more, when they do come back. I think we'll have a whole look, even the essential heroes out there. I mean, we have a whole new level of appreciation, certainly for doctors and nurses and frontline people, these ambulance people who and you see them all over the news. I always appreciated them, but I have a whole nother level of appreciation for what they've shown us through this horrific time.
Totally,
So
because while the world is at home, they're not at home.
that's right.
They're out. They're on the front lines. They're saving lives. They're doing what they can. We're kind of sitting on the sidelines right now and watching. So you're right.
Yeah, our people, our janitors, our maintenance teams, our security staff, we never shut down. There was no closing. In fact, we were more needed. It's one thing about our industry is whether it was Hurricane Sandy or all these major events, that's when we shine. That's when people look to us. So we've had to be heroes before. We've had to go out before when there was no power for months. And, we still had to function. So during this time, we never missed a beat. We sent people every day out there and they got to work. They protected the residents. They cleaned the surfaces that could have been infected. These are all people who have families, had to go home at the end of the day and hope, really. We gave them all the PPE we could imagine, but really no one knew what this was. Even with the PPE, we didn't know. We still don't have our hands wrapped around it. And these folks are still going out there every day and potentially not only infecting themselves, but their families. So it speaks volumes about who these heroes are and what they're doing.
It's truly incredible. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to get you on this conversation, is just knowing what Plan Companies and your team, your staff is doing during this time. While I got my view of Washington, D.C.,
Right.
I haven't seen it live in many months, 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
And, your team is out there. It's essential. And, you never took your foot off the pedal, Plan Companies. And in fact, you probably had to accelerate in a time like this. And, the job isn't done. Now that we are getting back slowly into the office, back to the workplace. Now it's more important than ever to make sure that company staff, employees, residents of buildings feel comfortable,
Yeah.
safe, and healthy returning. Otherwise, they won't return.
Yeah. Paul, from day one, we tried to be a resource for anyone who needed help. And we do a weekly town hall. This is our 12th one that we're on now. So 12 weeks. We started immediately when this all took off. And we have gathered the best of the best vendors to answer questions for anyone. We didn't qualify you if you were a prospect, a client. We didn't care who you were. If you needed help answering questions, we have a lawyer on the call every week who's answering legal questions. We have insurance people, anyone we could think of who we qualified. They had to be the best of the best. That was the rule. So we took on the best of the best, and we brought them into our town halls, and we have over 600 folks signed up for this thing every week. And Planned is just hosting it. We don't charge for it. It was nothing about that. We never even considered what is it going to cost to put this production together? How are we going to keep running it? Our time. It was something that it was given back. And, speaking of that and to our people, we set up funds for our own folks who were struggling, making ends meet. Perhaps, we did have some situations where commercial buildings would shut down and we were temporarily had to pull the staff out of there. So we set up funds for them and for their families to continue to take care of them during COVID-19. And of course, assured them, and it's happening now, thankfully, the buildings are reopening, and we assured them that their jobs would be waiting for them when that happened. So it's been a first in my life, of course, and I hope the last that we have to go through this, but our teams with every event of this type of magnitude have always shown their true colors and always delivered for our clients. So it's great to see. I'm very proud.
Well, Planned Companies has always been about culture, collaboration, community. And in a time like this, it just is really amplified and it really shows. But it's always been there. Planned Companies is 120 years old.
120.
And, it was built on some of those pillars. And, the leadership team, you, Rob, some of the other leaders that I've met within the company that I feel honored to have a relationship and friendship with. You continue to lead the way in a positive way, and the world appreciates the work that Planned Companies does.
Thank you, Paul, and I appreciate you saying that. And I'm glad you talk about our leadership. Very early on, everyone in life, we all have choices to make. And when I was making my choices, it was about people. It was about the Robs, the Astrids, the leadership team that we have here at Planned, because that's what's going to stay with you. That's what's going to make you want to do what you do every day. You can have a job, and my dad always told me, align yourself with the people who you would want to be with, the people who you feel the most comfortable with, and the people who are most like you, who believe in the same things as you. Yeah, money will come and go, jobs will come and go. How people move through life, you'll remember some of the people, you'll forget some of the people. But when we aligned, for me, 17 years ago is when I aligned with Rob. So yeah, if you're looking, I was one. Whatever, that's a joke. I knew then
I'm following, I'm with you.
that this, without knowing much about Planned Companies at the time, I knew then that this was a person that I wanted to align with, that this was an individual who I could see we share the same visions, the same goals, and more importantly, the same respect for people. So I saw that right away. So I bought into him. And once you buy into a person, then it's, what are we doing? What do you want to do? Do you want to sell ice cream? You want to make pizza? What are we doing? Because at that point, I truly feel you're going to be successful in whatever you choose to do. So, and I've told him this a million times, and he knows it. I bought him. I bought into his being and how he acts and his energy, right? If I aligned with somebody who slept all day and didn't have a vision to grow, and that would never work.
You wouldn't have been there for 17 years.
No chance. No chance.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
his energy is contagious. You could see it day one. And I did. And I knew that this was going to be the way it is. And here we are. For me, 17 years later, for the company, 120 years later, people still see that. We haven't forgotten who we are. And I think during times like this, that's when people get a full dose of that energy and who we are.
Two things that I absolutely love about Rob and ultimately love about you, Dino. His passion for what he does. It's authentic. It's true. It's exciting to him. It's his world on the professional front. It's just what he lives and breathes. And number two, I've never heard him say the word me. It's always we at Plan Companies, and that trickles down to everybody in the Plan Company staff, and it just shows.
Everything you said is 100% true. What's even more important about what you just said, that's who he is in his personal life too. So he brings that, and that's the piece I needed to see when I met Rob. It had to feel authentic, right? I didn't want to get bamboozled, and I was leaving a good company and going to a great company. I needed to make sure 17 years ago that everything you just said was true. And you could see it in all of our people. There's rarely we're not taught, or we don't believe in saying no, right? So we'll get it done. We'll figure it out. We'll make it happen. These are things that we say at Plan. These are things that our clients are used to hearing from us. And we move mountains. And it's the sense of pride. You can get up and you can feel sorry for yourself every day. This is horrible what we're going through. And those are the me statements, right? Like me, 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 me. Instead, we get up and we're excited. How can we help today? What can we do different? And it's all the teams, the frontliners, but the backliners at Plan too, the people who are continue to make sure those frontliners are getting their paychecks, and continue to make sure that we're not having any health issue disruptions with our health care, with making sure that they're getting all the support they need. Making sure that we're delivering the PPE they need on the front lines, and then continuing to focus on what makes us us, and that is our desire to want to help and make people better.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I think we have to end right there.
Paul, this is great. One thing about you and I, we could probably go on for days.
We could. We definitely could. Unfortunately, my free account with Zoom tells me that I have about 3 minutes left.
Understood. Understood.
Luckily, we ended on such a high note with that message that you just delivered. So thank you so much. I've really enjoyed this conversation. We should do this from time to time, and obviously you and I will continue to keep the conversation and the dialogue open. But I think we can bring positive vibes and great value to our communities with conversations like this. So I really appreciate the time.
Thank you, Paul. And thank you for what you're doing for all the folks out there. You're doing a fantastic job. So keep it up.
Appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you so much. I'll let you get back to your busy work week, and
yes, sir.
We'll definitely sync soon.
Thanks, Paul. Have a good one.
Yeah.
Take care,
bud.
Thank you
so much. Yeah, man.
Bye-bye.
Talk soon. Bye.